he was saying though, right? Okay.
Hey there we go. Good morning, everyone. My name is Jeff Fritz. Welcome back to my channel. It is September 21st, 2018, and I've got a guest today. We're going to be writing a little bit of code. We're going to be having a good time with my friend Mark Miller. Let's go to the two up. There he is. Hey, Mark.
Hey, Jeff, you call me your friend.
Right. This is Fritz and Friends, right? We're working together. We're having a good time. You should.
Nobody does this. Like, long time goal achieved.
My
Day.
Yeah, right. We're gonna have a good time, right? We're friends, absolutely. And right, it's some people think that's kind of funny because Mark's sound is super low for you. Let me see if we can.
Oh, let's check that up. It looks like it's sending pretty loud from where I'm at. So.
No, I'm gonna keep pushing up your sound. Here we go.
Okay, check. 1, 2, 3.
Yeah,
Hello from Brazil, says Bruno.
Fantastic. Is that better? Much better, says Kevin Griffin. So, right, folks don't understand, right, that in the mid, right, 2013, 2014, 2015, that time frame, all of us that were working as advocates, as program managers at the various control vendors in the .NET space, me at Telerik, you over at DevExpress, our friends over at Infragistics, while we were competitors, we were actually really good friends because we kept seeing each other.
We were bitter enemies. I never understood why everybody else in my company talked to you guys. You were the enemy that needed to be destroyed at all costs.
Come on now.
This may be why that goal of achieving a friend is a long-term, hopefully achievable.
It's very achievable. Come on now.
I didn't realize you worked for the enemy. Now I can't even. We're canceling the broadcast. I can't talk to you anymore.
No more.
I am sworn by an oath of allegiance. All right, maybe I'll talk.
Just blow that up right there. Just call it right there. Folks are saying you're still a little bit low. I've got the sound level pushed up a bit here. And on my levels...
Blaker says way low. Check.
How about now? Way low still. Even though I've got you cranked way high.
Strange enough, gets lower for me now too. Interesting. I'm pretty sure it's not my fault. Oh, well, we've got a perfect, that's better, getting better, perfect from several people. They all jumped in. You guys got it. Don't touch it.
Okay. I see how this works.
That's my favorite tech support instruction. Don't touch it. Stop it, says Maker Blaker.
Yeah, right. And this is the thing, right? When I talk to folks, they've always got that machine that's sitting in the corner that has some software that was running during an acquisition, and they have no idea how it was built, how it runs. It's there, it's in the corner. They fired the folks who built it, or they left because they made real estate investments in 2006 that were amazing, and 4 years later, not so much. Right, but it's like, what do we do with this thing? Don't touch it. And then somebody comes along and says, oh, we're going to turn it into a VM, and they struggle with that for months. So, yeah, right? Don't touch it.
It's my favorite instructions.
Favorite instructions. And for some reason, your background isn't, even though we told it to loop, it's not looping.
Yeah, I've seen that sometimes. If you switch to another scene and come back, it might fix it.
It might fix it. Let's see what happens.
Yeah.
So let's go over to just me. Hello, it's just me again. And then if we go back, no, it's not looping at all. It's just there.
All right.
Yeah, whatever. It looks cool anyway.
I can kind of move forwards and backwards to kind of make it more interesting.
Ooh, it's really cool. Yeah.
Is that good for everybody?
Sure. And people think it's kind of funny that you can see my office in the background, but it's just a picture.
I think it's very clever.
I accidentally switched to that scene with my office in the background while I was recording at Channel 9 last week. Yeah, well, I was recording next week. Last week while I was at Channel 9, and it looked like Kathleen and I were sitting in my office at home. I'm like, that's not right. That's the wrong place.
Yeah, it's kind of funny to put up a green screen and right in the background is a picture of the office directly behind you.
Yeah, right. Here's all the crap, the hats
Right.
and my window and all that stuff that's behind me. But it's so that we can drop the green screen out and talk about other stuff and actually be code and actually be sitting in front of the code.
Yeah.
Now, you were telling me that you had a really cool set of features that came out in the latest CodeRush, right? And
yeah.
you even had a big announcement as part of .NET Conf last week.
Yeah.
You want to show us a little bit of the cool stuff that's going on there, so we can take a
Yeah,
look?
let's go and do that.
All right,
Why don't you show my
Let's see if this
screen
works. Hey, look at that. I think that's your screen. And hey, that's me.
Yeah, I got a picture of you here, and I'm in Microsoft PowerPoint, and I'm just going to kind of drop a little circle on you here. I'm going to, let's go in and take the fill. We'll remove the fill from that. Let's change the outline weight up there. And let's use the eyedropper here to get that kind of purplish color right there from you.
Okay.
Let's bring it in.
It's a very Twitch purple.
Yeah, it's kind of a Twitch purple, which I kind of like. It's kind of becoming my new favorite color. I'm going to select that vector graphic and the image of you. I'm going to copy those to the clipboard. I'm going to come over here into Visual Studio inside a comment. I'm in an HTML file right now, and I'm just going to paste that in like there. And that is the feature in like 5 seconds.
Okay. So you've taken images, you've pasted it directly into source code, and it just appears inside of Visual Studio.
Yep.
But I mean, a lot of the folks that we're working with here in the chat room, Cam.net is saying, wait, what? Right, there's
right. It seems impossible, doesn't it?
Right. What does that look like when I actually commit that to source control?
All right, when you see, let me just turn this off. I'll turn this off. Toggle rich comments, this button right here.
Okay.
It looks like this. So
Look at that.
it's essentially Markdown is what it is. We've got a file we've created locally on disk.
Yeah.
In fact, let's just go ahead and reveal the whole behind the scenes how it works first instead of showing the magic. We'll open this file up in the File Explorer here. Let me bring it up over here.
Yes, Fretya, you did come at the right moment. Magic.
Yeah, magic. All right, so
Ooh, that's
here we
loud.
go. We've got inside of this is my solution. I've got a CR folder for my personal settings and my images, and in the images, these are all the images right here. And so you can see this one I just dropped right there is in there. That's probably it. I've got another one I practiced with just before there. So so that's what it looks like. And when I commit that, I will also commit those images there. And what these two things give me, this file name and that storage out there in my solution, is the ability to drop images inside of my comments and then share them with my team members effortlessly, essentially.
Okay. So I'm thinking some of the work that we've been doing here on my stream on a project, we've got some documentation, we've got some diagrams that would be really handy, right? And we've put them into a docs folder. They're off there on the side, and it shows kind of, here's where the object is in the hierarchy. It might be cool to drop that image into a comment at the top of the class file that says, here's where this lives in the object hierarchy, so that folks who are new to the project, when they open it, they can see exactly, here's how to interact with this.
Yeah, no, you can do these kinds of things. By the way, I just noticed Deathpack said, I was expecting a base 64 encoded. I've been trying to solve this problem for about 25 years. And my first attempt 25 years ago was with base 64 encoding.
Okay.
So that the advantage is it's totally in there.
Yeah.
It's easily shareable. The disadvantage is it's huge. It's a comment that goes out thousands of characters to the right, right?
And
Depending
I
on
can't
what
update
you've
it,
got.
right? It's not something that, I want to update this, but, so that it has a rainbow beard. And
And it doesn't update everywhere.
Yeah.
There's no update across references, right? So you've got that problem. I 25 years ago in Visual Studio for C++, I had OLE linking and embedding kind of working. But the storage problem stopped it from release. And I think also I was kind of new in my career. I really didn't have the expertise I have now in good UI and good design. And I think that there were some usability things that I just didn't know needed to be fixed with it. That was my first attempt. I made several other attempts in CodeRush for Delphi to do this. Again, the storage problem is incredibly tricky to solve. One of the next inclinations, if you say, okay, let's throw out base 64 encoding, is to go with GUIDs, right? So I'm gonna put a GUID in here, right, when I drop something in here. But the GUID's got that same problem that you were talking about before, where if I update the image on disk, I'm updating one single image out there. And if I go to paste that same image again, I'm gonna paste with a new GUID, right?
Sure.
And so if I have like a branding, if I want to put like my company name in a whole bunch of files, GUIDs totally break down. You can't solve the problem with GUIDs.
Okay.
So about a couple months ago, I said, let's take another stab at this problem. And the reason I said it is because we introduced a feature called rich comments, where you'll notice here Jeff Fritz is bold, and over here your URL is bolded here, right? And if I click on the comment, you can see I've just got Markdown in here. So CodeRush released this feature a couple months ago. And I said, let's try embedded comments again. And we did a spike, and the spike came back, and I was looking at the file name that was coming back, and I was talking to my devs, and I was like, what is this file name? And they're like, it's a hash of the image.
Brilliant.
And I started thinking about all the problems we had with everything, with storage. And I realized that a hash of the image makes all these problems melt away. Now I can paste this exact same image elsewhere in the code. Like I can come right down here, as it's on the clipboard, and paste, and I should have the exact same number in both of these places right here. This is 4690, ends in 773E, and if I come up here and look at this one, it's the same number. So I can paste this anywhere in my solution, and I'm going to get that same number. In fact, I can paste it in other solutions. I'll get the same number, but I won't see the image because that image is only in this solution, right? It's in that folder that we talked about there. Now, by the way, we're talking about creating a global shared folder for the team for images and a global shared folder for your personal images in a future release. So you'll be able to copy and paste images from one solution to another if you choose to do that. And I'll show you examples of where that comes in handy later. But I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'm looking at your project, and like in my project, you have a docs folder. What if I wanted to grab an image out of the docs folder and drop it in here? Is it going to create a pointer to that folder, or is it going to put a copy somewhere else?
It'll put a copy somewhere else. So for example, if we look in, where do I have it? I have my assets folder in game dev right here. I've got a class up here called Meteor, and what do I have? Spinning Rock. Inside Spinning Rock, that's where my meteors are. So I can go grab like a purple meteor here, double click it right here, bring it up into Visual Studio. This is my animated meteor that I'm dropping. Hit Control-A to select all, Control-C to copy it to the clipboard, come back over here in my meteor class and just paste that in right there. And now I've got that meteor up there at the top. So what's happened now is it's created, because of the paste, it's created a new file for me. If we go back into if we go back in up here, right click, say open in File Explorer. It's over here on the side. Go into that CodeRush, that .cr folder inside of it. Here we go, bring it up. So there's my project solution. There's the CR. You go into images, we're going to see there's the new piece right there that I just pasted in. And that's it. So when I check in, I'm checking in from this folder as well. Now somebody who gets this, they're going to be able to see that image too if they've got CodeRush and they have the feature turned on. If they've got it turned off, they'll just see this. However, this is like Markdown, so I can come in here and say Meteor image, really cool. Get CodeRush, so you can see it.
Right.
Something like that, which I'm sure everybody wants to type in. And so now, if I turn it back on, right, and by the way, if I hover over, I can see that.
Now you get your tooltip.
Now you were talking about documents, right? You were talking about documents and using those. And one of the things you were talking about is being able to like have a picture of something and be able to go somewhere based on that. We can actually do that. If I take this twitch.tv/C#Fritz, right click it, choose copy. Then come over here, right-click it, and choose link. I can come in here and say open a URL, paste that in there. I can also execute a CodeRush command or a Visual Studio command. I'll show you some of this later. Now that I've set up the URL, if I click on that, now it's just opened it over here in my other page. I'll bring it up over here so you can see it. It opened up this window for me right here.
Hey, I know those guys.
Yeah. So let me just close this down one more time. I'll come over here and click it, and there you can see it works.
And it pops through.
Yeah, it brings it right up. So you can do that. Speaking of documents, I'm sorry. Go ahead. You go ahead. You drive it.
Now you added that looked like right? You were adding just a little bit more Markdown. Can you show us the Markdown behind the image now? Is it just the link Markdown that's being put in there? Yeah, for the URL. There you go. Right, just like a normal bit of Markdown.
Let me show you some other cool things you can do, and we'll look at the Markdown and how it changes.
Sure.
So I can hover over the image, and it gets a little selector. I can click on the image like this. Oh, well, we set up a link, so it's opening it up on the other page. But I can right-click on it, and I can get a menu, and I also get the resize lines here. So I can, now that we got a link, I'm going to have to right-click it to do the resizing here. So I can now size this, just like I can a regular image, right?
Nice.
And let's look at the Markdown after the size. And you can see, whoops, just moved away from it. Here it is right here. You can see what's happening in here, right? We're basically saying these are X and Y scale values that we're including. I can also come in here and say, let's crop the image. So I can come in here and I can crop it, right? Let's come in here like this. Let's do that. And let's do this. It looks like I can totally get the whole circle out of there. Oh, almost. Maybe with a little more effort I could get it. But now I've cropped this image, right? And if we go back and look at the Markdown, right? What's cool is this never changes. This is always the same. There's one image out there. So I can take this, crop it another way, paste it in other places, and I'm still only at one image that I've added to my source control.
Very cool, yeah.
And then these are the crop values right here. These are the crop values. I also have the ability to right-click it and say restore. I can restore the original scale of the image and keep the cropping, or I can restore the original image. I can also restore the aspect ratio as well if we change it. For example, if I come in here and I resize it this way, and I want to restore that aspect ratio, I can do that. So I've got all of those abilities to do that. Again, the cool thing is from a storage perspective, one file.
You're not changing anything. Yeah, it's the same file on disk. It's just being manipulated here in the browser. I'm sorry, almost like a browser here in Visual Studio.
The other thing that's super cool about this, right, is because the image is only stored as text, right? That means I can select this code, right? Maybe this plus body, right? Move it somewhere else wherever I want to, paste it back in, and the image is right back in there again, right, like that. And so that's kind of cool. I'm not seeing a draw right here, so I'm not sure. It looks like maybe I've got like a demo bug right here, so I have a feeling it's going to take some kind of, I've got to move in and out of it or something like that to get it. It looks like it's not drawing for me, but that's the essence.
Save it and reopen the file?
Yeah, I'm sure that'll work. It's like, that's my feeling right there, is we've just got to, let's go do that. Wait a second, that file is, I think it's out here. And let me close this down. Source. Is it this one? Maybe it is this one. Oh yeah, it is that one. Okay. So yeah, so that's what it is. But we can do cut and paste. I want to try that one more time because I'm a little, I like to run into walls and stuff like that. Let's cut that and paste this right up here. Yeah, so that's kind of what more of the behavior that I'm expecting to see, right?
Sure,
so you can copy the comment, the code, everything. Also, I can hit it. Watch this. I was going to say I was going to do undo, but because I closed it, let me scale it for a second. Let me make some changes here, like this. Right-click it, choose crop image, like this, and let's right-click it again and let's scale it down like this, and like that. And then we're going to just hit undo, 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 undo. And so the cool thing about this, because everything is stored in text, it works perfectly with cut, copy, paste, undo, redo, stack, version control, difference engines, all of that. It just works. Whereas Base64 would kill a difference engine.
Oh my gosh!
Right, if you're going to store it internally, right?
So in the chat room, Cam.net is asking, I'm fascinated with the files directories in Mark's solution. Is this a Zork bot?
It started as that. It is not a full running version of Zork. It's actually become kind of this killer overlay bot. In fact, let me show it to you running for a second here. I'm going to right click on this and I'm going to say open with. And let's say, I hope I didn't make too many radical changes and it's still all going to work. I think I'm going to work. It's going to work. Yeah, I've got it on my other screen. Let me drag it over here. So this is kind of a version of what we're building. This is an overlay bot for my Twitch channel, Twitch TV/CodeRush. I thought I'd put a subtle plug in on the show here. I feel that's subtle.
Very subtle, Mark.
But what's really cool is this overlays over what I stream. Now, all the coins here, they're not going to all be there. There'll be some of them somewhere. And they'll show up from time to time and be part of the game. And up in the upper left, the CodeRush logo actually is going to turn into, when the chat room types in bang symbol, the command launch to it, it's going to turn into a rocket. And then if they type in command right, it's going to move right. And they can give it amount of seconds on the burn to move right, for example. So if they want it to burn for a long time, they can do that. And they can come down, they can move down, and they can move up. And we'll be able to simulate gravity on other planets, and we'll be able to drop meteors out of this thing. And that's all going to happen live while I'm coding, right?
Okay.
Because I'm kind of a crazy guy, and I love this kind of frenetic pace. In fact, when we were first testing it, everybody put the CodeRush logo, the CodeRush rocket, over my face while I was talking.
Oh,
right?
nice.
And that's the kind of fun thing. And then they bombed me as well. They were like doing this while I was talking as well. So it's kind of fun. You'll notice though, in the upper left of this rocket, or I'm sorry, not the upper left. I want to move the rocket to the upper left here. We're going to resize this a little bit. You'll notice one of the engines isn't quite lined up right. See that right there? It's not quite lined up there. So what I want to do, the bottom right engine.
Oh yeah.
That one. Mm-hmm. I'm going to right click I'm going to take a screenshot of this. So I just hit Alt Print Screen, and I'm going to go over to my rocket class right over here. And this is where my rocket is. And I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to type in draw, and we'll jump over to the draw function of my rocket. And I'm just going to add a comment and paste. And now I'm going to come in here, and I'm going to crop the image. And I'm just going to crop right around that problem area, really close to it, right like that. So I'm going to come right in there like that.
Okay.
And there's my image. And now I'm going to right-click it. I'm going to choose Pixel Scale, and I'm going to jump up to 800%. Maybe I'll even jump up. I'll go crazy and go to 1600%.
Holy crow.
Pixel Scale does a nearest neighbor scale. So I can see every individual pixel. Normally, when I resize this, you see it kind of blurs up there, right there.
Sure.
It gives me a smoother line kind of scale. But if I come in and I choose Pixel Scale, it's like, I know what you mean. And I'm going to give it to you so you can see the individual pixels. And now I've got the pixels there, and I can fix the problem. Mm-hmm. And so this is a comment in the code that's really only going to be in the code for a few minutes while I fix the code. But it's in parallel to what I'm working with, right? Faster, and I can count the individual pixels here. It's actually the fastest, easiest way to solve problems like this. Any other solution is going to involve me pasting it somewhere else or zooming in and counting. I'm switching back and forth between apps.
Sure.
This is the fastest way to solve this problem.
Yeah, I could see having the browser open side by side with Visual Studio or on another screen, and you're zooming in real tight, and yeah, it's a little messy. Fretya in the chat room asks, this is a proprietary extension, no free version. CodeRush it's a DevExpress product. Is there a trial version available?
There is a trial version available. It's only $49. Okay. And that's all we can say right now. We are interested in having a lot of people use this, and so because we think it's revolutionary. We think this is game changing for developers all over the place. It's a huge feature.
Oh yeah.
And it's because we've made it so. Part of the solution to this also, Jeff, is the UI. Right, making this feel like a first-class citizen, right? I can click it and I can resize it. I can do all of these things that I would normally expect to do, right? Cut, copy, paste, undo, redo, version control, right? All of these problems solved. It's important. It is revolutionary, and it's important for us to get this out in the hands of as many people as possible. So right now the cost is $49. That may change in the future. That's all I can say.
Sure, but give it a try. Download the trial and see if it works for you and in your code. And you know what? If you like it, $49 is not bad. That's not a bad price at all for something that's gonna change the way you write code. Yeah, it gives you a year subscription. You get and we put out updates every 30 days. So we have a 30-day sprint cycle, and every 30 days. So this came out as part of our last sprint, right? So anybody who bought this in the last year just got a huge present, sitting, in their lap. So very cool stuff. Yeah. All right. You want to see more? Oh yeah, please. Okay. Yeah, Woodsy just said that's just blown my mind. So this is a mind-blowing feature. Yeah. Let's look at, let's see here. I think I've got a function in here called something rotate or something like that. Set rotation. Okay, cool. And I've got another one right above it called get thrust. So I'm going to do this. I'm just going to show a little bit of interaction here and show how fast and easy it is to do this. So I've got paint up here. I've got an image of a rocket.
I'm just going to copy that to the clipboard. In my get thrust function right here, I'm going to add a comment and hit paste. And now what's super cool now is I used to have just a formula that was rocking it right here, right?
Yeah.
But that formula, if I am not intimately familiar with the way this works, that formula is a bit of a mystery to me. But if I put this in here now, this becomes and starts looking a lot more like a document that tells you that essentially not only here's the code, right, but here's why the code, right? This is why, right? And this helps new developers get up to speed, right? Again, we're talking information in parallel, which is, it's a huge, great design. It's a design tenet it's a tenet of design. It's a guideline for design.
Yeah,
information in parallel is much faster to consume because the cost of getting that information you need is moving your eyes, right? That's the cost.
Or
right,
you're clicking a link or you're copying a link that somebody put into a comment that says, more information at this URL. They're copying it, tabbing over to a browser, pasting it in there, opening up the web page, reading some documentation.
Right.
To have either an image embedded here, some way to get that reference to that documentation. Yeah, I love the idea of content in parallel like that.
Yeah, and again, like I say, I want to just do this again. I'm going to come in here and let's cut this get thrust method to the clipboard. Let's come up somewhere else. Here, let's go to the bottom of the file, and we'll paste that in there, and then you can see that how that whole thing works, right? You're just cutting and pasting and moving, right? So everything just moves with the code. Let's go find that rotation function in there, because rotation.
But while you're looking for that, OzCoder asks, I assume it doesn't break when you edit with another IDE that doesn't support CodeRush. So I'm thinking somebody opens in Visual Studio Code. As long as you don't change that comment, it just works.
Right. And even if you did change the comment, it probably wouldn't be hard to fix it back, right? Well, you've got a couple ways to fix it, right? You can go version control and figure out what the change was. But yeah, it doesn't break. No, it's a one-line comment. It's a short comment that's in there. And like I said, you have the ability. So let's do this for a second. Sometimes I forget yaw, pitch, and roll. I've got a rotation function here. I looked up yaw, pitch, and roll here, and I found this kind of cool image. I'm just going to right-click the image, copy it to the clipboard, and now inside my code in the set rotation here, again, add a comment, paste it in, maybe resize it so it's not so big, like this, right? And maybe just do one more thing here to help other developers. Come in here, let's type in, let's search for yaw, pitch, and roll just on the internet itself. Go out to Wikipedia, for example, grab that page, copy it to the clipboard, come back in, right-click, link, open URL, right? And within seconds, I've now got the ability to get developers, first give them a sense of, oh, okay, got what's happening here. I understand it, right? Getting new developers up to speed faster. It looks like a regular document, right? One other thing I can do, by the way, is if I don't want to see these pesky little / characters, I can put a backtick right here. And when I leave the line, it just hides them. That's all. It's just hiding them like that.
Oh, that's great.
And so now what I can do is I can now take my image now, and if I'm over here at the beginning of the line, just add spaces to center it on the page if I want to, right? Or I can line it up with whatever the text I want it to line up with, that sort of thing.
So I mean, we know that, right? Double /, right? You can put comments at the end of a line. Could you put that at the end of line 78, so that it kind of lines up side by side? You
can, but it does take the size, right, of whatever that size is. So you might, if you're doing it end of line, you might want to come in like that, for example. Something like that, just a little icon, or maybe a little bigger than that. I guess, I don't know, something like that. So you can see it. So there I can read the text. So yeah, you can do that. You can put it at the end of line. And you can you can also do, so we've started a comment right here, right? Because I'm doing a regular, hold on a second, let me grab just the Markdown part of it. Right? Let's do a different style comment, right? And let's go to the end of it and say, well, I was going to say check it out, but I'm just going to do another comment here, I guess, after all. Check it out right here. But I can do something like this, like this, right? And I guess maybe, let's do this instead. Like that. Why is that underlined? That's weird. Oh, because I've got a URL. This may be Visual Studio. Underlining it because it thinks the URL goes all the way. I think I'm going to have to add a space there. Because if we go, here, let me scroll right here so we can see it. Yeah, it looks like it thinks that that's part of the URL.
Yeah.
So I'm going to add a space right there. Let's put a space there, and then there it fixes it.
Yeah. So I want to thank Banifus in the chat room real quick for resubscribing for a 4th month. And there's a couple questions that have come in here. Looking at format for the markup, a semicolon separated list of values does not look very future-proof for future updates to CodeRush.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I would totally agree with that. It is something that we're going to have to be very careful with. And so while you were doing it, I got to have that space right there because the link's at the end. So I don't know if we can fix that because that's Visual Studio thinking that the paren is part of the link. I'll have to take a look at that and we'll see what we can do with that.
OzCoder has a good comment because this is the way that I code. Does it support tabs? Because I am a tab programmer.
Totally.
Cool.
I use tabs all the time. I'm using tabs all the time.
So
with regards to the semicolon list, I agree with that. There are things that we want to add to this that we have not added yet. I was nervous about the tab, about the semicolons, but there's another constraint as well, which is I want to make this as small as possible, right? And I felt like that was the overriding constraint. I want to make this so that if you're looking at this in a difference engine, or you're looking at this in something that doesn't have this, that it is as unobtrusive and as tiny as it can be. So as we make changes to it, we scale it, that sort of thing, these things start coming up. But I agree with you. It doesn't feel solid and future-proof like a XML might. But arguably, it's essentially the same as JSON without the object names, right? Essentially, JSON is list of items. This is a list of items, is what it is.
Sure.
And the pieces that we want to add, we will be able to put them in there. So yes, I agree. It might make me nervous at the beginning at first glance. However, with regards to what we want to add, we feel like we're good. At least for the next year or two in terms of what our future is anticipated to be.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're fine for now.
I'm fine for now. We don't have to work so hard. We'll take a break.
Sure.
So,
Moke RS has a suggestion in the chat room. It says, maybe show the image only when hovering over a small image icon like a tooltip. Yeah,
that's a good idea. I think we can do that. In fact, it reminds me, let me go back over here. Let me go into, I wonder if I can, I think I may have to I just want to bring it up. So these are the images right here. I want to take this guy right there and I want to delete it. And I want to show what happens when that happens here.
Okay.
That's Dropbox there. We'll see delete everywhere. I think it's going to work for a while here. But I bet if I cut it to the clipboard and paste it back in, there we go. So this is what happens. We get a broken image right here. And I just wanted to kind of show, here's what happens when the image doesn't exist. So we show you the broken image. You still have the piece there. So if you've got version control out there, you can go get it. Or if this is in another solution, you can grab that file and copy it over. But that's kind of the essence of that, of kind of what's happening there. I just hit undo over here to bring that image back. So there it is right there. I've just hit undo on my delete. And so I'm not anticipating this happened now, but as soon as I made a change to the file, it found it and said, okay, got it.
And put it back
in. That's how that's working, yeah.
OzCoder in the chat room asks, can we see what it looks like in a Diff tool that doesn't support CodeRush? In a different tool?
Yeah, sure. We can do that. Let me go. I'm not prepared for this part of the demo, but I think I can get you something. Let's see here. So...
What if we could just open it in Visual Studio Code, maybe?
Oh, well, that's just he's saying a different tool.
Yeah.
Is what I thought he was saying a Diff tool.
No, okay, my apologies, yeah.
Okay, let's go into rocket.cs or .js here, and let's say open with, and do I have VS Code in here? Wouldn't that be awesome if it was here?
Or maybe even Notepad.
Don't see it. All right, fine. We'll do Notepad.
Yeah. We know Notepad doesn't have CodeRush.
There it is right there. All right. Notepad for CodeRush.
Ooh.
CodeRush for Notepad. So it looks like this. So it's just, there's the image right there.
Yeah.
That's it. And that's an image with a lot of changes to it, right? We've got a link inside of it. We've got some resizing going on as well. So that's it. But that's what it looks like.
Yeah.
So you still get to see the code.
Yeah. Mr. Magoo suggests it would be nice to be able to align to the right side of the window as well.
I agree. I agree with Mr. Magoo. We don't have that yet. We don't have alignment. There's a couple things we want to add.
But for a first cut at the functionality that you're showing here, being able to embed and see this, it's tremendous. And we're going to get to a point where people are going to say, you know what, it doesn't support all the things that I love about Word. I would really like to be able to use word art around all that junk.
By the way, so I just edited this, right? This is the area where I can type in text to describe the image.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So whatever's there, right? So I just typed in, this is an image from Notepad, and I saved it, which means if I come back over here, it should say, hey, do you want to reload it? And I'll say yes. And, it's if I hover over it, there. See,
now
this is an image.
Yeah.
See it right there? Yeah. So that's kind of pretty cool. I agree. I'll tell you where we want to go with this. And we haven't done it yet because we want to see what reaction is. If everybody hates it, then we probably won't invest in it if everybody truly hates it. But where we want to go, being able to do an alignment kind of option, right, is one of the options. Like say, okay, align right, align center, right? Those kinds of things are cool things. The other thing we want to do is be able to say, hey, like, what if I want to do this? What if I want to put it out over here at the end of this? But I don't want it going up. I want it going down.
Yeah,
right?
The vertical alignment.
Because I know that the code is over on the left and it's not going to obscure it. I want to be able, because right now all our images are aligned with the baseline of the text. And what I want to do is make that an option. So I can say align with the top of the text, align with the center of the text. So the center of this would be lined in the center, or baseline, which is the default.
Sure.
And then the second option on that would be don't increase the line size like we're doing here. See, because what's happening is line 76, we're making it
really
a tall line.
Yeah,
because we've got this here. But that's also why it works with debugging. It works with every single feature because we're simply telling Visual Studio, the line is this big, right? And Visual Studio is saying, cool,
I know how to do that, sure.
Yeah. By the way, this feature, Dustin Hoffman, you probably know Dustin, I think, right?
Oh, yeah.
Or not, I mean Dustin Campbell, not Dustin Hoffman.
I was going to say Dustin Hoffman, he's that actor. He's really good in The Graduate.
Dustin Campbell is going to give me so much crap on this, by the way. So Dustin Campbell and I were meeting with Microsoft about, 6 years ago. This is the other problem, by the way. The other problem with image embedding is line height. Right?
Okay.
This was the other major block that blocked me in the Delphi days from really getting this out, is that there was no control over line height. And so in the Delphi days, you put an image in, you had to hit the enter key a bunch of times to make room for it. It was ridiculous.
Sure.
Right? About 5 years ago, 6 years ago, maybe a little longer, Dustin and I were sitting down with a couple developers from Microsoft on the Visual Studio team, and they asked this amazing question. They said, what can we do for you guys? Right? What can we change to really make things cool? And I said, variable line height. Give me the ability to change the height of the line. And they implemented it in such an awesome way, a really professional way, because they give us the ability to say, it's a tall line, but it's a small cursor, right? So the cursor doesn't go large and huge, right? Yeah.
And it's not a really big font. It's just a really tall line. Yeah,
they totally nailed it. They totally nailed the implementation of this, the Visual Studio team did. And that was about 5 years ago. So I've been sitting on this knowing that we could kind of do this, but we had other priorities all this time. And it wasn't until, like I said, a couple months ago, I was like, let's give it another shot and see if we can do it.
Yeah.
And so that was it. That was it. It was kind of cool. It was kind of cool. Thanks to the Visual Studio team, this is all possible.
Oh, yeah.
By the way, if we can get the same from the Visual Studio Code team, we are highly likely, so I'm looking at you, Visual Studio Code team, we are highly likely to build a standalone plugin and release it for free. You heard me, for free for Visual Studio Code. So you give me that variable line height and the ability to draw in the editor. If you can get me that as an extension, we'll put this and bring this there in a heartbeat. I'll put several devs on it immediately.
Now, SQL Mr. Magoo says, once we have animated GIFs, you can have a little bug crawling around your code until you fix it. Does it support animated GIFs now, but in one place?
No, it does not right now. We made a few decisions early on to not stress the environment. And one of those was no GIFs. One of them was no object linking, so you can't actually stick a spreadsheet inside of your code. Okay,
That'd be so amazing.
Well, but hold on though. Hold on. I've got to. It would
be
be
crazy,
so
stupid, but it'd be so amazing.
Well, hold on. Let me show you one that's not so stupid on this. Hold on. I've got documents in here somewhere. Where are my documents? Are they in my game dev? I don't think they're in game dev.
Wouldn't it be cool if there was a feature that allowed you to search Solution Explorer?
Is there? Is it just up here? Let me do that. I don't know. XLS? Can I do something like that? There we go. All right, cool. So I've got a document out here called Shortcut Bindings.
Yeah, there we
go. Here, I just double-clicked it right there to bring it up.
Sure.
So this is it. I got some shortcuts I need to add. I haven't done that yet. I'm just going to right-click this, copy that, select that, copy it to the clipboard, come over into, where is it? I think in main. Yeah, there we go. Key bindings. I need to add some key bindings here. So let's go ahead and do that. Guess what I'm going to do? Copy, or put a comment and paste it in. Is what I'm going to do.
It's not that's an image, right? It's not an actual Excel reference.
It's an image. It's not an actual Excel reference.
But
yeah, I know.
Everybody,
still, calm down,
but
people.
Still, right?
That's cool. Yeah, but we made decisions that said, look, only images for now.
Sure.
That's all we're doing.
Sure.
We do support transparent images. So if you bring in transparent images and you've got a dark background, you'll see your dark background in the background of that image. So we do support that.
So our friend Mike Eaton in the chat room is saying that he will only ever put pictures of Fritz in his code. I think you've chosen quite wisely there, Mike. I think there you go. That's a fantastic idea.
That's it. Yeah, so we basically said no GIFs, no animation. One of the things we were thinking about doing though that we like this idea of is, let's say you've got a URL somewhere that's in the code, like here, right, or whatever. We want to add an option. And if you've got the option, like, and we see the full path, the URL, like http:// whatever that is, we want to, in fact, I think I've got examples of that over here. Whoops, let's bring that back in like that. Okay, so here, for example, I've got some URLs here. We want to have an option that says, hey, if you have the option turned on, we'll show you a preview of that page. And if it's a YouTube video, we'll show you a preview of the video, right? So we'll go out, get it, and put it in there. We haven't done this yet, but we're playing with this idea.
Now, Janesco and has a very interesting comment here. Think of having 3D models in your code if you're coding with Unity and be able to see it react to your code change.
Oh, yeah, that's interesting as well. So this idea of a live connection, it is possible to do, but it's not, in this particular example, I'm not an expert in this. I'm not really sure what we would need to do. I have a feeling it's a pretty significant effort. It may be more than one single 30-day sprint, which means
I bet.
It would take some time to figure this out. How do we set this up so we can work with a lot of different things as a live connection? But this is not the first time this has been requested. However, the preview of the web page, that would be live in the moment that we go to refresh. And I'm not sure we would, I'm not sure we would keep doing that again and again. But these are things that now we're starting getting into performance issue challenges that browser writers have to face. And we were like, let's not get there yet.
Sure.
Let's make it so that we want to get this technology solid and nailed, and a lot of people using it, and then we want to go from there. We want to go and say, okay, let's start challenging ourselves and getting, linking to things that may not be there, linking to things that may take a while to come back, linking to things that are live and updated frequently, or maybe that take a processor power, like a GIF or something like that.
Right. I would even be happy with opening it in a docked window, like where your task list is there on the right.
Yeah.
If this is a piece of documentation that's sitting out there on a web, or it's sitting in a folder, being able to open it and then say, just open this link over here in that window so that I can see it at the same time. You don't have to worry about the embedding next to the code. It's just there.
Yeah. Let me show you another cool thing. This is part of the demo I did at .NET Conf, but I really like this. I just clicked that link. It opened up this page. This, by the way, is the piece in the background. This is a function that calculates the intersection of a line with a plane. This is a 3D plane in space. And so this is the code that does that. However, the code is not so obvious to read, right? It's just a bunch of multiplication, and there's some differencing I see here. And if I don't understand what's happening, I may not understand the code immediately, right? It may be hard to understand the code. So if I go out to the Wikipedia page, I can see kind of an explanation for what's happening here. Notice I've got a return null, a return line, and I'm returning a point. I get the point, but I don't understand why am I returning a line right here. And if I come over here and click on the image, I can see, oh, I see what's happening here, right? There's the 3 different ways that a line can potentially intersect or not intersect a plane. So I'm going to say right-click, copy the image. And what's cool about this is it really shows how kind of fine-grained I can get in here. I'm going to come in here. I'm going to crop the image, and I'm just going to take this, drag it right around this guy right here, tighten that up around here and here, and I'm going to use that technique to hide the comment delimiters there as well. And then I'm just going to delete that one little space there. So it's nicely left aligned with my return null. I'm going to copy that to the clipboard, or I cut it. I'm sorry. Let's copy it, and then I'm going to paste it, and then I'm going to paste it down here as well. And then I'm just going to right-click on these. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say it's the same. Oh, wait a sec.
Same image, but I'm going to go in and crop it.
And you're just moving your crop.
I'm moving my crop, and now within a few seconds, I've come in here and taken this code that was not self-explanatory or harder to understand, and I made it much easier for new developers coming on board, or me later on, when I look at this code, to get the thing that's otherwise challenging to get.
Yeah, and you've impressed our friend Mike there. He's saying that's really cool. Sequel Mr. Magoo likes your idea of preview, and this actually sounds like a very interesting idea. Have DevOps build badges in line with your code. Make a change, commit, push, and be able to see the build badge in your code update. Oh,
interesting. So a live link to the build badge, right?
Yeah.
All right.
Because the build badge is just Markdown.
Yeah. Let me do that. Let me make a note of that. That may be my first. That may be the compelling piece to start work on the.
Rampant.
I just want to make sure.
You would want that then in every file. Almost.
Well, we might do another thing on it too. It could be there could be other ways to show that. That may be a separate feature where it's not something that you drop in, but it's a way to get it. Like if you hover over the class or the file name or something along those lines, I suppose. You want to see formulas in the code? Is that interesting to you, Jeff, at all?
Me, formulas? I am not that smart. But sure, let's take a look.
So we're going to do it. All right, so I'm going to go out here. This is, let's click on this link here. Is it coming up? Where is it? I think it's coming up. It's just not on screen. Here it is. It's coming up a few times. There it is right there. So I'm on an online LaTeX equation editor. And LaTeX is something where I can come in here and I can say, and by the way, this is a function here called distance to point. So I put a point somewhere in space. It figures out how far away that point, the shortest distance to that point. That's what this code does. And it's based on the formula that you can see down here at the bottom. I'm going to make that very large right there so you can see it. And LaTeX is just a language for representing mathematical formulas. So I want to be able to come in here and maybe say distance equals, or maybe distance to point or something like that. Distance to point, like this. And then I can come down here and copy the image and just come down here. And as you've seen this like 1,000 times before, right? Come down in here and paste it in the comment. And now I've got that there. I can hide that leading comment delimiters. And now, again, right, if I'm not an expert in JavaScript, for example, or I just want to get something and say, okay, yeah, there's what I'm looking at, right? There it is. I can put that formula right there in the code like that. So pretty cool, pretty easy to do. One more cool thing I'll show you. I was programming with my son the other day.
Yeah.
And he's like 8 years old. And this is for the gravity games, where we're able to select the planets. And as we were creating the planets, we were taking the actual image assets from the game and pasting them right in the code. And so we would be going to a table, and we'd get the planet's gravity and its distance from sun, mass, all of these things, and we would enter the numbers in. And then afterwards, we'd put that in there, right? We'd put that image in. And I really believe, he's 8 years old, but I believe that the act of putting the images in there made it cooler for him and kept his interest all the way through the whole process, right? And it occurred to me while I was doing this, oh, this is really good for education, right? Educating people who aren't programmers, for example.
Yeah.
Right? Teaching them about code, right? Being able to, for example, in your rocket, being able to put this picture of the yaw, pitch, and the roll, or being able to put the what was the other? The thrust one was down here. Let me scroll down a little bit more. There it is, right there. Put that thrust in there, right? And put that picture in there, right? It turns code into a learning resource. Whereas before, it was not really possible to do this. You would have to go to a website to learn about this and see a sample code, on the website. The website could do it, but the source code editor could not.
So, and then how does this interact then with other tools like LiveShare, right? If I connected my Visual Studio to yours right now, I don't have CodeRush installed, so right. I would just see the comment on my side.
Right. Well, we're actually, yes. So, but here's the thing. We're working with LiveShare folks now, the guys on the LiveShare team. In fact, even later today, I'm going to be doing this. I'll be talking to one of them on getting this to work with VS LiveShare. We wanted to be able to, now if you don't have CodeRush, we're probably not going to cross that threshold soon, right? That may be later. But if you do, we want it to we want it to be so that you can you'll be able to see the files and in your code. So if you drop an image, I'll be able to see the image. So with VS LiveShare, the anticipation, the expectation is that we're going to solve that problem
shortly
with some help from the Visual Studio team. So we're working with Visual Studio.
Both partners have CodeRush installed, and it'll light up on both screens.
In the future, that's the expectation. We are already in conversations about how to make that work, and it seems like it's a solvable problem.
Very cool. Lightskin Zeno in the chat room asks, what was the website called that you used with the formula where you brought up the LaTeX formula?
It's codecogs.com. I can throw this out in the chat room right here. Let me do that. And this is the one I use. There may be better ones out there, but what's cool is you can come in here and you can build formulas using the buttons up at the top as well, right? So you can choose these buttons and put these pieces in here, whatever you want to put in. Let's just do that. Let's grab let's grab square root, whatever, and you can start seeing, oh, it's got a problem. It doesn't like that, whatever that is here. Let's come back here and do something like this. We'll say square root. And as I recall, square root I think it's like got an A, and then it's just like that. So there's whatever you put in there. There was I was conflating another term, but yeah, you can just put whatever you want in there.
So you could put A squared plus B squared in there, right?
Yeah. I can do, I think it's like this plus B squared like that.
Right. So there's your Pythagorean formula, right?
Yeah. So yeah, you can do it. And then you just come in here, right click it, copy the clipboard and put it in. Okay, want to hear another secret feature we want to do?
Secret feature? Do tell.
Yeah.
Do tell.
So this is like, I haven't told anybody, but I'm going to push on this. And I think we can do it.
We won't tell anybody. It's just you and me and a bunch of friends.
Yeah. Here's what I really want to do. I want to be able to support LaTeX directly in the comments. So you don't have to come here, right click and copy image, that it is live in there. And do you want to hear the really cool thing I want to do in the future that's probably going to take a lot of effort from a lot of people to make happen? I want to be able to, if it's a formula, I want to be able to step through the formula as it's being evaluated. So you see the A squared being lit up. You see all of that, right? I don't want to look at code like this if it's a formula. I want to look at code like this and step through it in C#, JavaScript, TypeScript, whatever. That's what I want to do. That's like my next, if I have one other big thing I do before I'm off this planet, that might be it.
Is to be able to jump from whatever coding language to LaTeX markup and be able to, as you're stepping through.
Well, I don't want to go to LaTeX markup. I want to actually get a full-on equation editor that builds equations in a way that's simple and easy to do, maybe with a combination of buttons, but also with shortcut kinds of things that I can do as well. But I want to be able, when I step through it, and I'm on the A squared evaluation, I want to see the execution statement indicator show it. Right there, I'm there, right on that bit of code, whatever is actually behind the scenes on it. That's kind of the thing I think is pretty exciting. It's crazy elusive, right? Source code for 30 years, 40 years has been text.
Yeah.
And it's never really changed. The closest it got to changing was in the form of these links right here. right? That's about the closest. And then you also see sometimes color swatches, right? CodeRush has this, and Visual Studio's added this, and where you see color swatches under color samples. But there's not much that's evolved with code, right?
So,
go ahead.
But I'm now you've got me thinking. We're only looking at C# JavaScript here. We're looking at .NET JavaScript. I'm assuming TypeScript also.
Yeah.
What about working with SQL? Right, when I'm doing stuff where I'm writing code in the database, where I'm writing a stored procedure, I'm writing views, to be able to put a comment in there that references an image.
If you're using Visual Studio, we can do that. We can't do it now because we don't support SQL yet.
Okay.
But what's the comment for that? How do you do comments in SQL?
It's either double hyphen to comment out right till the end of the line, and it's the same / star to do a comment block.
To multi-line comment. All right.
Yeah.
So I will now actually promise you that we will work on this, and in either the end of this current sprint or the next one, we'll have SQL support out there. It is not hard to add a language to this, right? Right now we're supporting HTML, JavaScript, TypeScript, CSS, F#, C#, Visual Basic, XML, and I think that's the list of what we support now. We don't support Python. We don't support SQL yet. But I promise you, this doesn't seem hard at all. This is an easy problem to solve. The hard work has all been done.
Yeah,
right? Now, all we simply need to do is know where the comments are, and it should not be. We anticipate no blocks in doing that, getting that to you.
Yeah, right. In you going through and explaining, for the formulas, and when you're working with a normal programming language, it really does make sense. But to my mind, as a relational database user, there's diagrams there that I want to show inside my my stored procedures, perhaps, that show here's how I connected the relationships between these tables, these entities, and so that folks can see, oh yeah, here's the work that's being done within this, and that would make it really easy to perceive. Okay, you get it. I promise you, it's yours. Turakan says, I can imagine in CSS this is very useful. Yeah, I'm not a web guy. My show on Twitch TV /CodeRush is a lot about me learning to be a web guy. So I really haven't played around with CSS a lot yet, and so I don't have a sense yet. I haven't wrapped my head around the applicability in CSS yet. However, I welcome the comment. I'm like, cool. Mark Miller looks like someone who knocks. It says Rafalik62. I have a Breaking Bad sound clip. Done exactly how I want. Oh, you can't hear it. The only question is, are you the man to do it? Of course Mark Miller is the man to do it. Yes. He's the one who did this. So funny. So, late to the stream, maybe it's been brought up, but I'd rather see some kind of link to a visuals file within the project in a separate panel in Visual Studio rather than in line. So Arts Plunge, might like to see that. Help me with that. Understand that request. I don't quite understand that. Some kind of link to visuals. Oh, I think I understand what you're saying. You're saying if you're here, instead of seeing this, what you'd rather see is just maybe something like this, right? Just like whatever text is here, underlined, right? Image text, or just a tiny little image. And if you click that, then you can go see it in the separate panel. Is that right? Arts Plunge? That's what I think Arts Plunge is saying. Rather see the image in a split screen. Maybe a docked window. What do you think, Arts Plunge? But that sounds like a configuration option. But now that you've opened Pandora's box here, Mark, and there's all kinds of stuff that we can reference and link from our code. Yeah, these other changes are not hard. I'm actually taking that exact text. Here you can see in my very professional Notepad file. I'm writing down the notes, but I just added that in here, right? So we'll talk to the devs about that. Yeah, this, we are wrapping our heads over, how developers are reacting to this, and we're working, to massage things, make it so that everyone is happy. Really, that's kind of what we're looking for. We want to be able to, we think we're onto something cool and useful. And I also think this is the kind of thing, right, where you may not need it. You may not need it everywhere. You may not need it all the time. You may just use it for solving temporary bugs, for example, right? But in places where you do really need it, it could be really, really useful, I think, to a lot of developers. Oh my gosh.
Right? Like
yes.
you were talking about your SQL examples, right? Or your examples where I've got a code reference or I've got a documentation reference outside.
Yeah.
I want to make it super obvious to everyone.
Yeah.
Right?
So right in the documentation reference, we can't understate. You've already got the documentation sitting in the project folder. If I could make a relative reference to the documentation instead of copying into the CodeRush folder, I think that's another neat feature there. I want to thank Turacan for resubscribing for a second month in a row. Thanks so much. I appreciate that. And of course, all the donations, all the bits cheered. I match those and we make a donation to Girl Develop It.
Nice.
Yeah, we made a big donation about 2 weeks ago, and it was really, really something.
Nice.
They say it. If you look on Girl Develop It's website, it costs $54 to run one class. And together on stream, we raised and we matched up to $2,200. So
Nice.
I matched and brought it to $1,100. My employer matched, took it to $2,200. So that's like 40 classes that will be run thanks to our community here on Twitch. Really great stuff. I'm so happy to see that.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
I'm super proud of you, Jeff. You're like, kind of a hero, I think, to a lot of people, I think.
I'm just a guy with an ugly hat and a bad shirt writing some code.
You're right. You're right. I was wrong. I don't know. I thought I was onto something, but you're right. You convinced me. It's just a hat, a shirt.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's it. Let me show you two more cool things, and then I'll stop taking your time because I feel like I'm just like
No, right? There's all kinds of cool stuff here. It's like, oh my gosh, this is really neat.
Yeah. So take a look at this. No, it's just a few pixels in some code. It's just a few pixels in a hat in code. All right. So over here, I've got a comment at the end of the line, right? Image comment here, and I've got a little hover over piece. This is my Twitch bot OAuth token, right? I can go click on this, and it just brings me right up in here, and I can go take a look at that, right?
No, wait.
Nobody look at this, by the way. Nobody look at this. Close your eyes, developers. My code is naked. Please. These are my OAuth tokens.
I'm not looking. It's
Don't
not
look,
me.
but I can come in there and make changes to them.
Blame
cool,
Mike
right?
Eaton for this. Okay, I can look there.
So here's what's happening on this. I just go right click and chose link, and I went in, execute Visual Studio command. I went to project.properties, right? And I can grab any Visual Studio command from this list and go do it if I want to. By the way, we are adding commands to CodeRush to allow you to jump to classes specifically in response to requests people got for these images. People want to drop images in the code to jump them quickly to other places in the code, related places, right?
Okay.
If you've got code that's got some sort of related thing, or maybe whatever, you've got a test case, a test class out there that tests this, whatever, you can drop that out there. The other thing I wanted to show you, the second thing here, is you can connect Visual Studio Code snippets and CodeRush templates, which are like Visual Studio Code snippets, to the images. So I can type in, for example, what's going on with all these hard-coded strings right here? What about localization, right? I can come in here and type in scary like that, and then execute the Visual Studio or snippet or the CodeRush code template, and it will put in a reference to an image that I've already got in my solution, out there in the solution file. And so now it says this code is scary, please fix. Within seconds, I can get a message out that gets the whole team's attention, right? You're on some stinky code and you want to let people know, just type in /pu like there, and there you go, right?
Okay.
Wait, this is a family show, right? I'm going to.
This is very family friendly. I can definitely see some of our friends, Michael Eaton using a little bit of that. I can see our friend Barry Dorans doing a little bit of that. The cat memes appearing in code will be strong.
You might be right. Yeah, so you can use memes like this to communicate, or you can use images and emojis to communicate important messages, right? And things that may not last for a long time, right? I fix the code, I get to remove the comment, right? The code looks better. I get rid of the hard-coded strings, get it ready for localization, I clean all that up. So yeah, those are like some of the use cases that we were talking about in this, right? Some of the things you can do. You've got documenting the code, right? You've got signposting. We saw this in the Meteor class a little bit, right? Where I can just signpost that, right? So as I'm scrolling through, I immediately recognize the signpost, right? The visual recognition is much faster than trying to recognize the shape of the code, right? I'm going to save about 600 milliseconds when I come in there. You've got the ability to communicate with your team, right? Sending them those messages like, hey, that really stinks. Temporary visual notes, right? Remember when we fixed the rocket? We had the rocket engine off to the side. Temporary visual notes in there with the ability to zoom in on crop screenshots incredibly fast. Accessing tools, right, where we clicked in and we went to project properties, or we can start, access other tools or open up websites through the links. The last thing that I'm going to show you is branding. I can come in here, I can type in /dx right here, and I can put a DevExpress brand image right up here at the top of the file, or I can type in /tw and put in my Twitch channel, and now I've branded both of these, right? If I click on this, it's going to open up, there's the CodeRush Twitch channel right there, and now developers who are looking at the source code can come out to my Twitch stream, or developers who want to learn more about DevExpress, the amazing company that supported the CodeRush team in building this, they can click that link too. So I can brand and get secret plugs in, when nobody knows that.
Nobody knows
secret
that it's
plugs.
there.
Yeah, don't look, Jeff.
Yeah, no. But right, I mean right, that flag, that section that everybody puts at the top of their code that has, right, it has a little bit about the license, has about, here's who wrote this, but to also put a comment that says, oh, and here's my logo, so that when it does open in an editor that supports this feature, right now Visual Studio 2017 with CodeRush, that's pretty handy. That looks nice when you're reading code.
Yeah, it does.
And then right now you have me wondering if this is something that when I look at the code on GitHub or in Azure DevOps, if they could consume that comment and as they're presenting the code, show some of that content, right? You can't edit and work with it, but as you're reading the code, to have that presentation might be nice as well. Yeah,
and it's not hard for them to do this because they have everything they need. This file is checked in as part of the project, right? In virtually all cases, right? So it's not hard for them to do that. I want them to do that. If you are involved in that in any way, contact me, Markm, M-A-R-K-M, at devexpress.com, and we will bend over backwards to make this easy for you to integrate if you want to do that.
Yeah, I definitely think that's something that would be really cool to see on GitHub or on a Gist, right, gist.github.com, or Azure DevOps when you're looking at your source code there. Very cool stuff.
Yeah. Well, everything is needed, and it's following essentially, this is Markdown, essentially Markdown format right here. We've modified it slightly, but to show an image in Markdown, it's everything essentially up to here. We are not putting the path because we want it short, and we know where to find the images, right? And the images are always in the same place, right? But nothing stops you from changing this, adding a path here and grabbing something, in another location, which you could do. You can do that right now. Like if I had another file on location, I could type that in here and it would show up. Right.
You know what? And I think our friend Lithix here in the chat room makes a very good point. We could prototype this with a browser plugin, or maybe even something like a Grease Monkey script.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, I'm not an expert in this stuff, so I'm going to trust that you're right that we can do that. But the other thing I was just thinking of is I was wondering, does GitHub's code viewer, is that open source on GitHub? Because it probably is. Yeah. And if it is, we could probably do a pull request on that. We could probably figure it out ourselves and pull request it. That might be something that we can do. So
Tiago is asking.
I'm going to write that down too because I think it's a cool idea.
Yeah. Tiago is asking the .cr folder gets committed to source control as well, correct?
Yeah. Well, you have to select it, but it's in your solution. We store it in your solution folder. So, open that file, open up the solution folder. Hold on, it's in another screen. Here we go, right here. So this is my solution, Mr. AnnouncerBot. cr.cr is the folder, and in there I've got images, and these are all the images we've been pasting and working with, right? So there's the one we just dropped in there.
Now, how did you do the snippets so that it popped in the rest of that information? Did you just have a snippet for?
Yes, these three were already in the solution.
Okay,
right?
and you just had a snippet that echoed out that comment.
Yes, exactly. Okay. That's all I did. So I dropped the comment, sized it, copied it to the clipboard, and then made it a part of the snippet, or in this case, actually, it's a CodeRush template.
Okay.
So, but they're essentially the same thing. And so, so that allows me to just type in /pu or whatever I want, and those images that are shared among everybody, I can just reference those immediately, very quickly, right?
Ooh, very cool, yes. Lithix followed up here in the chat room. You may want to take a look at this. Lithix uses Stylus to modify the GitHub website to give dark mode, widescreen support, and it's a plugin for Chrome.
Interesting.
Mr. Tethys, add emoji support out of the box, and I'll sell my house for a license.
Okay, that's good because I've been talking about emoji support for a while. And people are like, you want to do what? And I want to be able to make emojis, support them. And actually, so you can drop emojis in. Hold on a second. Let me bring up a browser here.
You can drop emojis in Visual Studio. I think you're right, Mr.
Yes,
Marco.
already you can do this. But the thing is they're coming in as the character. So let me just do this. Let's say emoji happy, like that. No. Let's do emoji bug. Let's get emoji bug. So the bug emoji, is this going to give me the character? I think it will. Is that the character? Is that? Or is it
no, down a little bit lower. It says copy and paste this
there it
emoji.
Is. That's what I want. Copy. Okay. And then here's what Visual Studio does. So come down here. That's it right here. I think we have a bug like that. So that's what it currently looks like, right? But what I want to do is I want to license like 1,000 emoji images that look very cool, right? And if we see the emoji in the comment, again, it would be an opt-in option, but we would give you a vectored emoji scaled to the font size right there in the code.
Yeah.
Right? So, and secondarily, I want, everybody else is like, you want what, Mark? That's all they've been saying for 2 months. Wait, tell me again? But I want to be able to get a UI to make it very fast to get this in, and to support like the GitHub shortcuts for emojis and some of the other text-based ways to bring emojis in.
I was going to say, what happens if you hit a window period there? Right, bring up the Windows 10 emoji. No, Windows key period.
Hold on, Windows 10. Oh, I didn't see that. Oh,
learn something new.
I'm done.
Right, and what happens if you put that in there?
I don't know. I'm double clicking it. Oh, it's putting it in, and I'm hitting enter. I see. I was expecting to go away, but it wasn't.
Yeah,
okay,
you can do that in any application. Windows period and the Windows 10. That's a Windows feature that pops up there.
All right. So we just got a license. I'm writing down license the emoji stuff. That's on my to-do as well. This is so awesome because that just saved me. I didn't know you had Windows 10. That is the Windows 10 dot.
Yeah,
the Windows dot.
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
awesome.
And,
that saved me a bunch of UI work. Sorry, go ahead. What?
The folks in the chat room were like, "Oh my gosh, I had no idea that was there."
All right, cool.
Yeah.
So then what we would do is if you opted in, we would look for regular, and it would just be a regular comment. We would change it to the emoji piece, whatever it would be. And then maybe give you the ability to resize it. Because again, these are vectors, so if you wanted to make the bug really big, maybe give you the ability to do that. Maybe.
Oh, sure, right? There you go, trolling your teammates again. Make that vectored image huge because it's a big bug.
Yeah. I love how you just put that. I use the word communication with teammates, but trolling, I think, is the more appropriate use. Trolling your teammates.
And I mean, in all seriousness, the way that we communicate with other developers, right, as much as we say, you should write a document that tells the other developers what this is. No, everybody reads code. And the easier you can make it to read the code, convey what's going on, and adding images like this in line with the code, makes it easier for folks to understand. But then if you take that next step, and if you're using it really for how we socialize this information, there you go, right? Because code is the ultimate social platform for sharing this stuff. Because I have open source code out there. Folks pull it down, they read my code, and if they're able to read and see, images, content, formulas all laid out there, they're learning from me. And if they find a bug, they write a unit test for them to push back with whatever appropriate emojis and things in there, right?
Yeah.
And now we're collaborating and we're bringing a smile to other folks' faces. And then if we share code with Mike, he will of course make us all cry.
Okay, well let's not share with Mike because I don't like to cry.
That's right.
Yeah.
No, none for you. False, he says. All right, see that? Cutting us off right at the legs. So I love these features. This is really great stuff. Branch names with sparkles. No, No, don't put emojis into your branch names. Oh, dear Lord, don't do that. That's terrible. I enjoy Mike's enthusiasm, but with all these features, you... What? Yeah, I know. That's terrible. How do you check out... How would you do a git pull on a branch name that has an emoji, right? That has a poo emoji in the middle of it. You just forget it. You've got problems there.
I love how we're skirting right at the edge of the family show.
We are right on the edge.
I had a picture. You said
pizza.
the word.
I said pizza.
Yeah, pizza. Right. Yeah. Let's not use. I think we agree. Mike says I'd be angry at any team member who used an emoji in a branch name. That would end up on my list. It would end up on my list.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mike's
I got a list.
Oh, he has a list. Very cool stuff. All right. So here we go. I'm gonna set you up here. How do I get my hands on CodeRush so I can get all this great feature, Mark?
Yeah, you can go over. Well, if you go to devexpress.com/CodeRush, that should take you there. You can also go out. Let me do this. I'm going to paste this. I'll give you a couple links out here. Here's one right there. And let me get, you can also go to the Visual Studio Marketplace, like that. And if I type in CodeRush, and I think I also want to type in Roslyn for the Roslyn engine, that's going to get me here. And I'll take that and put it out there as well. And this is where you can download right here. Check it out. We got over 1/3 downloads, installs, I mean. We just broke that, and I don't think I announced that yet. Maybe I did. Maybe I did. I did. Yeah, 1/3. So not bad. We're working our way up there. We want to get 500,000 here.
And CodeRush has all kinds of other features, not just pasting images into code, but things to help you do refactoring.
Yes. Code analysis. You can see all these things here: navigation assistance, debugging assistance, visual debugging, all kinds of things. Right, for writing code faster. Getting higher quality code, that sort of thing. So yeah, there's a ton to the product. It's not only about images. That's the only thing we're talking about today, at least so far. But yeah, that's CodeRush. CodeRush has got a lot of stuff in it for writing code quickly.
Cool. So free community edition you can download. Not community. I'm sorry. Free trial that you can download and give it a shot for 30 days. And then of course, Zerk is asking how much it costs, and I believe you said earlier $49.
Yeah, it's $49 for a no support version of the product. You get a year's worth of updates, but you don't get official support from DevExpress. And if you want official support from DevExpress, it's $249. So the $49 one is essentially community support. Yeah. Having said that, you can still report bugs, that sort of thing in it. So and you can. It's not like there's somebody at the gates saying, sorry, we're not going to answer any questions that you have. So
student discounts.
We do not have student discounts at this point, but we want to, but we don't. That's kind of where we are. We are, and there's nothing else I can really announce about pricing other than I've said before. We want a lot of people to be able to use this, and we don't want pricing to be a problem.
Yeah. And Mr. Magoo says it costs many hours of watching the CodeRush channel on Twitch for a giveaway. Oh,
that's true. If you watch my CodeRush channel, we've already given away like 30 copies of CodeRush on at twitch.tv/CodeRush, which I should also throw out here.
It's right there, right below you.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, just point right there.
There it is, right there. Yeah, I think it's right there. I'm like looking at the stream, which is a few seconds behind me right there. Just a few, but I'll just bring this up here. I'll bring it up and then I'll grab the URL and paste it in the chat room. So you got that too. So we give away a copy of CodeRush every day we do the show, and so you can also win it there. We've given away 30 copies so far, so there's a chance to win it there too. If you're a student, all you have to do is follow.
There you go.
And you don't even have to be there when we give them away.
Yeah, awesome stuff.
Thank you, sir.
All righty. I think that's a show. I think we're at the time.
I feel good.
Oh, yeah.
And I really appreciate it. I love that. Thank you so much, Jeff, for giving me this time. Thank you so much to the people in the chat room. Great suggestions. I've got a whole list of things to talk to the devs about. It's as valuable for me, hopefully as it is for you. I really appreciate this opportunity. Thank you.
All right. So let me do some housekeeping here. I am not If you follow C# Fritz, oh, hang on. Mr. Magoo says, oh yeah, you get a free copy of the Core Wiki C# bot. No, it's the .NET bot, and if you subscribe, you get a copy of. Not him, not that guy.
Hey, you know what I'm going to do?
What are you going to do?
Zerk BTW asked for student discounts.
Yeah.
I'm going to whisper you right now, and I'm going to give you a free copy of CodeRush because you asked, and I'm feeling like pretty good about that. So let me get this up. Hold on a second. And
whoa, very cool.
Hold on. I'm just going to type in something here. C# Fritz's channel. You lucked out. There you go. Okay. So you've done
awesome.
that. I have to do one other. I have to do a housekeeping thing to make sure because several people. This works with several people. So I'm going to do that while you do whatever you're going to do.
Yeah. So tomorrow I'm not going to be online. My daughters have an event that they're going to be. They ride at equestrian horse shows. I'm going to be over there all day, so I will not be able to broadcast tomorrow. Next week I'm at Microsoft Ignite. I have 2 workshops that I'm hosting. I'll post them here on the channel. I think it's Tuesday at 4 p.m. Eastern. I'll be teaching Intro to ASP.NET Core. I'll also put a blog post up on my blog, jeffreyfritz.com. I'm going to be rerunning that same workshop on Friday morning at 10:45 a.m. when I would normally host my stream. But here's the deal. There's only 60 seats in the room, Mark. So I've already sold out. They've already booked it full. I know. So I've run.
Why are you promoting this?
So here's the deal. I talked to my friends at Ignite Marketing, Microsoft Ignite Marketing, and I said, we've only got 60 people in the room. I know we publish the materials for this later on the docs site, but it'd be really cool if we could invite our friends on Twitch to join us in room. And they said, well, how would you do that? And I said, well, I've got ways to broadcast out to Twitch. I just need a wire so I can broadcast out in a good network connection. And they said to me, done. So both of my Microsoft Ignite workshops, only 60 people in the room, but you get to watch for free from home, from your office, wherever you might be that time of day. It'll be live here on Twitch, and you'll be able to ask questions in the chat room, just like you normally do. It will be recorded. All of the labs are not recorded at Ignite, but mine will be, and you'll be able to watch it later if you can't see it. I have another session that I'm presenting on migrating ASP.NET to ASP.NET Core. That'll be recorded, will not be streamed, but you'll be able to catch it after the fact. I will be posting a schedule of all this on my blog, and I'll put an entry here on the channel. You should see that maybe later today, tomorrow. Look for a tweet from me. Keep an eye on jeffreyfritz.com for more details about that. And then I have a special guest pair programmer coming early Friday morning. Jeff Holland is going to join me, and we're going to talk about Cosmos DB and some other Azure features getting added into my Core Wiki project. So that's a project we've been working on, Mark, that allows us to run a wiki, wherever you might be, and to learn ASP.NET functionality.
I love it. I've been watching your show. Not I'm not an expert on this stuff, but I love it. I've been watching this.
And that's why I kind of asked about some of the documentation with this feature in CodeRush, because it'd be really cool to take some of the architecture diagrams that our friend Brave Cobra wrote and drop them in where it's a little bit difficult to understand and follow some of that architecture. So
let's do it. We'll get on it. I'm gonna talk to the devs about it in seconds.
Fantastic.
As soon as we're done.
Oh, that's awesome.
We're on it.
So that's what's going on. Like I said, I'll have a blog post up in a little bit that has here's what the schedule is for next week, and I'm also going to try and do some rogue streaming from the .NET booths on the floor and see how much I can get away with setting up a tripod and streaming from the floor of the show until somebody throws me out. In which case, well, then I don't need to come back until it's my turn to actually give my presentations.
Chem.net says it'd be useful for us in the Microsoft Docs team. What are the files that you guys are working on? And what's the file format? What's the extension?
So I believe those are HTML.
Yeah, if
HTML
that's what it is,
Markdown.
Then it's already supported.
Yeah, Markdown.
Yeah. Oh, Markdown. I'm not sure if we support Markdown. I'll just write that down and we'll add that too. That can't be, it's because essentially we're there.
And and the docs is all open source.
Do you guys use Visual Studio to edit? Because we kind of need to be inside of Visual Studio. So.
VS
they use
Code.
Visual Studio Code. All right, so VS Code. So we're working on it.
Yeah.
No promises on that yet.
Very
okay.
Cool. All
we
right.
want it to happen.
Well, I think that's the show. There we go. Cool. Well, thanks so much for joining me, Mark. I really appreciate this. I learned a lot about CodeRush. I want to go get it installed on one of my machines so that I can start tinkering with some of these features. Very cool stuff.
Absolutely. We'll get you a copy.
All right.
All right.
Cool. Thanks so much. And we'll catch everybody later. Thanks so much for tuning in. We'll see you.
All right.
All right. Where did my thing go? I got to go. There we go.